Good afternoon, you two pipe smokers. Prairie Piper here. February 1st, so we're done with January. It's a cold month for us up here, so looking uh, looking forward to spring. We just get through February here and get into March, things start to warm up for us. But today's video is going to be about pipe myths. Um, Not going to be an extensive, exhaustive study on pipe myths, but I'm going to go over a few that I think are pretty important, ones that you come across regularly, not just as a seasoned pipe smoker, but especially as a newer pipe smoker. So let's get into it. I got some notes here again, just to be a little bit more thorough, a little bit more organized. So one of the first pipe myths you'll generally come across is, do you have to develop a cake or a carbon buildup in your pipe bowl? The short answer is no, but you should. And there's a lot of conflicting opinions about this, but this is just my opinion. These are all just my opinion, right? So I don't believe it's necessary to, you know, have to have carbon, like a char or carbon cake buildup in your pipe bowl. I think it's a good idea though. And why I think it's a good idea is it insulates and protects the briar wood, right? So the inside of your chamber, if you're always, putting flame down there, which you are when you're lighting your tobacco, the cake helps just put a little bit of insulation and protection for the wood. So not only that, but the char, that carbon cake buildup also provides you with flavor. Now, I don't have anything to prove this. This is just something that's been handed down over the years. I do believe it. I don't know what it tastes like, so don't ask me what it tastes like. But I do believe having a char on the inside of your pipe bowl, not only for protection and insulation, also contributes to taste. And what the best way that I can explain that is sort of like when you've got some of the char on your barbecue, right? So, after you're done barbecuing, you usually don't scrape the grill down to the steel again, like as if it was when it was brand new, right? You don't really want a brand new grill every single time you cook, right? You want a little bit of the grease, a little bit of the char, right? That sort of eventually burns and molds to the wires on the grill, because you want some of that flavor to come back, because that flavor does come back next time you're throwing burgers on or chicken or whatever it is. Of course, I mean, you pick off all the charred pieces of chicken and meat, right? But I'm just talking about on the grill itself. Most guys do not want a positively clean grill, brand new grill every time they cook. And that's because, for whatever reason, again, I don't know the science behind it, but that there's a charred flavor that sort of stays within, in the barbecue on the grill. And I believe it's the same principle that's in your pipe. So the char that you have on the inside of your pipe bowl, again, not only offering protection and insulation to the wood when you're burning your tobacco, I also believe there's an exchange there between the outside of the briar wall and the inside of the briar wall, the carbon char buildup inside, and then the smoke and then the tobacco burning in the bowl. So I think there's a relationship there between the wood that's heating up, the briar, the char, and then the burning of the tobacco and all that heat, right? It's a chemical exchange. Now, again, don't ask me what it tastes like. I got no idea. But those are three important reasons why you want, to develop a char in your pipe bowl. Now, what thickness? I mean, there's the age-old famous thickness of a dime. I mean, whomever came up with that, the guy probably should have copywritten it, because he'd be a millionaire by now, right? Most websites, most pipe books, everybody brings up this thickness of a dime. And I guess it's a good guideline. Um, some guys you can have more char, some guys less. It's really just up to the individual. Some guys don't even have much char at all. The only thing, if you're not going to have much char buildup, that's fine. But you really don't want to scrape it down to the wood. The second you see wood, you need to stop scraping because you're going to damage the pipe. So if you don't want char, and I know guys out there that don't, just make sure when you're scraping the inside of your bowl that you're actually not scraping wood. So, and that's kind of goes the same for bowl coatings too, right? I mean, bowl coatings are typically put into new pipes for aesthetics, to hide minor cosmetic issues, where the pipe might not look as good. Maybe there's some scarring, maybe some very tiny cavities on the inside of that pipe bowl, and it doesn't look as appealing. So they coat the bowl, and they put the black coat in the bowl so you can't see it. There's nothing wrong with the pipe, right? But if you're a newer pipe smoker and you're not aware that some of the scarring on the inside of a bowl is normal, you might not buy that pipe. So the second thing reason they put the bowl coating on is to help, to put on a cake. It's not necessary. You don't need it. You can still, I mean, that's why some pipes come with bowl coatings and some don't come with bowl coatings at all. It's not really that big of a deal. So last thing I'll say on building up a char and the bowl coating is just stop with the honey, please. If you like to do it for taste, that's cool. But the honey thing out there, right? There's a lot of websites that still say, you can coat your bowl with honey to help with, building a char. And look, it does work. It's just, it's not necessary. If you like it for the flavor, that's cool. If your bowl does not have a bowl, if your pipe bowl does not have a bowl coating, you don't just smoke it. Be mindful. I mean, don't torch the whole pipe and run it at 1,000 degrees when you're smoking it, right? It's still new. It still needs to be climatized and broken in a little bit. But if you don't have a bowl coating, the pipe is not going to explode. I know they kind of tell you that is for first-time pipe smokers, right? That if you need a char, you need a bowl coating, and if you don't, the pipe's going to explode. That's all bullshit. That's not true. It might be for the overly zealous pipe smoker that has no idea what they're doing and they're just constantly putting fire into the bowl. That might happen, I guess. But I've smoked a lot of pipes over the years. I've been smoking a pipe 25 years. I've never had my bowls light on fire, have holes come through the side of the bowl. I've never had any of that. I've heard of it, but I've never actually personally even seen it amongst anyone. So let's move on. Do you need to rest and rotate your pipes? Again, generally you don't have to, but much like building up a little bit of a chart, it's a good idea. So the whole concept behind resting your pipes, right? Resting your pipe for a day or two is to let the pipe cool down, right? Let the briar, the wood cool down, and to get the moisture out of it, right? Usually after a smoke, the pipe is hot. I'll fix a little bit. The pipe is hot or warm, and it's got moisture in it, right? So you don't want to smoke it an hour later when it hasn't had a chance, right? When the moisture hasn't had a chance to evaporate out of the pipe and the pipe to cool down. If you're going to smoke it in succession, you might have a burnout. You might destroy the pipe because it hasn't had a chance to cool down, and it hasn't had a chance to dry out. So those are the two main reasons why you want to rest your pipe. I've had, you can smoke a bowl in the morning for a couple hours and then, the pipe will probably dry out within a few hours. So maybe in the afternoon or in the evening, if you want to smoke that pipe again, you can. Generally that's not a problem. So, I've even smoked pipes back to back before. In fact, I did that a lot when I was, back in the day when I first became a pipe smoker. I smoked the first pipe I bought. I smoked it all day for the whole weekend. Well, for like 2 years, I smoked it probably 4 or 5 times a day, regardless of what the temperature was outside, right? And the temperature does matter, because if you're in the summer here in Manitoba, it's hot and humid. Well, you might be able to hear the skidoos, snowmobiles going by outside. That's what that loud pitch wheezing noise is. Hot and humid here in the summer, so you might want to be careful, right? If you're in these, this type of climate, where the pipe smoke's hot and it's wet by the end of your smoke, you want to make sure you're giving it a little bit more time to dry out and to cool down. And obviously, depending on if you've got the air conditioning on your house or not, that might take much longer for the pipe to cool down and dry out during the summer when it's so hot and humid. It's not such a problem for me here in the winter. Winter is usually cold and dry, so the pipes usually within a few hours um, they're dried out and cooled down. Also depends on how you smoke too, right? And the tobacco you're smoking. If you smoke a pipe hot and wet a lot, or sometimes you just get tobacco just wet. Depends on what kind of tobacco and how you're packing it. Again, you kind of have to be the best judge on whether or not you want to pick it up and smoke it again a few hours later. But the general principle is that, try to avoid smoking the same pipe again and again and again and again multiple times throughout the day. And like I said, that is just the philosophy behind that is give your pipe time to cool off and to get the moisture out. Okay. What else we got here? This is a funny one. So, do you need to clean your pipe? Yes, 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 you need to clean your pipe. I know guys that don't clean their pipes ever, like once a decade, and it blows me away. I am absolutely astounded that there's guys out there, seasoned, intelligent, smart, experienced pipe smokers that don't clean their pipes. It's crazy to me, but like with anything else in pipes, if that's what works for you, then do it. But for me, I got to clean my pipes. Some guys clean their pipes after every single or before every single smoke. I don't do that. I clean my pipes, run a pipe cleaner through it, pull the stem off, maybe every half a dozen times. So let me show you. Let's just do a quick example here. I'm pretty sure I haven't cleaned this pipe that I'm going to clean. I'm pretty sure I haven't cleaned it for a while. So hopefully this doesn't backfire, and when I clean it, hopefully I get some soot and some grease, some oil out of it, because I can't remember the last time I cleaned it. So let me put this pipe down. Okay, here's the pipe. Here's the pipe cleaner. So why do you want to clean your pipe? Well, that's not too bad. So you can see, I hope, I'm not opening this door, it's too bloody cold out. So it's quite filthy. So there you go. So all that garbage there, that black garbage, is inside your pipe. And like I said, this is only after 5 or 6 smokes. But the longer you leave that in there, the darker and blacker this is going to get. Like if I left that for another 10 smokes, then this pipe cleaner would come out black, and you'd have to use 3 or 4 of these just to get the rest out. And that affects your smoke. The other thing you want to do, you want to be on the lookout for. So that's just down the air hole. Look at that. Can you see that? There's chunks right there. I'm picking that up. I'll wipe it off for you. Soot, grease, tar, I don't know what it is. Look at that. Can you see that? See that black crap there? So that just came out of the tenon and the pipe stem. Okay, all this black goo. So and that just came off the tenon right there, right? So I usually wipe it off, and you're going to see you're going to get a lot of gunk that comes out of that. And then just put it back together. So here's the lesson. Clean your pipes, because if you don't, I mean, this is not rocket science. That gunk that I showed you on the pipe cleaner and the gunk on the Kleenex, when you pull out the stem and you wipe out the tenon, that just builds up more and more and more. I don't even know how you could not clean it after a while, because I mean, I just pulled a giant piece of gunk out of the tenon. Like, you're telling me that's not going to change not only the taste of the tobacco, but the mechanics of the airflow. But some guys don't. Anyways, that to me is a big one. You need to clean your pipes. I'm a firm believer in that. You don't have to be anal about it. You don't have to be, if you want to clean them every single time, that to me is a little extreme. But, again, if that works for you, go ahead. But I would recommend cleaning them. The fourth, I think I have 7 here, but the fourth pipe myth is vulcanite stems do not oxidize. Yes, they do. Every single one of them. They all oxidize. It's just a matter of time. Yeah, you can keep them out of the sunlight. You can keep them dry. You can put them in a drawer away from any kind of light. You can use high quality premium vulcanite, German vulcanite, whatever. They will oxidize one day no matter what. Guys out there telling you like, no, as long as you take care of your vulcanite stem, it doesn't oxidize. That's bullshit. They all do. Now, some of the premium vulcanite is more resistant. So it might be 5 or 6 years down the road, or 7 or 8 or whatever, with proper care. But eventually your vulcanite stem will oxidize. I don't know why there's people out there saying that they don't, as long as you take care of them. That's just not true. So that one is black and white. Relighting. Is relighting your tobacco a lot bad? I don't know if this one's that popular anymore. Like, when I got into pipe smoking, back in the late 90s, I was always very self-conscious about relights, right? Because there's this idea that if you have to relight your pipe over and over again, you're not that good at smoking a pipe. Nobody really talks about that anymore. I mean, you see pipe smokers, right, in YouTube videos when there's interviews with pipe smokers, or people have been smoking a pipe, like me, 20, 30 years. People are relighting all the time. In fact, I'm going to relight again, and you've seen my videos. I relight all the time. So don't even worry about how many relights. How many times you want to relight your pipe is totally insignificant. It doesn't matter. The only time I might say it might matter is when it was on your first pipe. And I only say that because if you're constantly putting a lighter, match isn't too bad, but if you're constantly putting a lighter into a brand new, fresh, virgin briar bowl, you might just want to be aware of kind of the heat that you're putting into the bowl because it's new. But other than that, relights, don't worry about it. I want to relight this. Give me a sec. Haunted Bookshop. Briar, Sweat and Tears pipe. Okay, smoking tobacco right down to the bottom of the bowl. Again, do what works for you. This probably isn't as big of a deal as it was back in my day, right? You always kind of felt like, along with the relights, that if you sort of dumped out the quarter bottom bowl of your tobacco, that, you were somehow doing something wrong. Not at all. Don't worry about that. That happens to me depending on which pipe I'm smoking, right, and the configuration of the bowl, the chamber, right, because there's different types of chamber dimensions, right? Some are conical, some are V-shaped, some are more U-shaped, but anyways. So It's not uncommon, right? Especially if it's a wetter tobacco, or again, it's in the summer, it's 40 degrees out, there's a lot of humidity in the air. It's not uncommon, for the bottom chunk of your tobacco there to get a little bit of wet, and especially if it's sitting in a bit of dottle, right? Toss it out, bang it, clean it up, go, and go get another pipe and just continue to smoke if you want, or pack it in and call it a day. So that's okay. So don't worry about, not smoking your tobacco all the way to the bottom of the bowl. It's one of those things that just varies, depending on, like I said, your climate, your cadence, and the type of tobacco you're smoking. So, and the last thing is, does a cheap pipe smoke the same as an expensive one? Yes, it does. Um, if you buy a $100 entry level Savinelli, which I have, and you buy the Savinelli, the Punto Oro series or the Autograph series, they smoke the same. They all smoke the same. I've had entry level Bergams for 75 bucks. They smoke the same as the Bergam that's worth 250, 300. They generally all smoke the same. I've had factory pipes that smoke the same as a $500 artisan pipe, generally. I don't want to get into the artisan factory debate. The mechanics are a little tighter in an artisan pipe, but just as a general statement, right? The more money you spend on a pipe, it doesn't necessarily mean you're getting a better smoke. For the most part, and an honest pipe maker is going to tell you this too, they all smoke the same. You know, so the only thing I'd probably stay away from is buying something from China, or an Amazon. I mean, you don't, go get a cob, go get a clay, get a entry level Bergam pipe or a Sav or a Peterson. They'll smoke the same. I've got about 50 to 60 pipes, ranging in price point. Generally speaking, they all smoke the same. I'll wrap this video up by saying, at the end of the day, and I've, talking to Todd Bannard from Briar Sweat and Tears, he laughed when I asked him, when I talked to him about Briar, because he's like, it's wood, man. Like, they beat the shit out of it. There's this, they sand it, they scrape it, they puncture it, they saw it in half. I mean, they do all kinds of things to our pipes right before we get the final product. So, Todd always reminds me that, Briar is much more resilient than people think. So keep that in mind. Again, the things that I've suggested, some of them are just going to be up to you. Some of them are what works for you. But there is some general philosophy and reasoning behind why they do some of these things. I'm just saying, in my experience, it's not deathly critical, right? Like, you read some of these blogs, well, if you don't put the honey on, or doesn't have a bowl coating, first time you light up, pipe's going to light on fire. Like Todd said to me, Briar is way more resilient than we give it credit for. So anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Take care, enjoy the weekend. Prairie Piper out.